What is up, weather enthusiasts? I'm your host, Pat's Path Predictor. Let's get right into the weather. Tonight, we're doing another live stream covering Debby and a few other things in the Atlantic, as well as a few other things going on across the tropics and everything weather-wise. But before we get into that, we have a couple of guests on tonight. First, we're going to go ahead and introduce Galaxy Bender. Galaxy, how are you doing?
I'm doing good.
All right, and Justin, how have you been doing?
I'm doing great.
All right, wonderful. And we're going to have some more guests come in and go out as the night continues to go on. But in the meantime, we are going to go ahead and get started so that way we can kind of give you a quick rundown of what we're looking at for tonight's stream. So here's the situation that we have pulled up. We were just looking at this a little bit earlier, but we are paying attention to Tropical Storm Debby as this thing continues to produce catastrophic flooding across much of the southeastern United States. We have the latest public advisory out right here. It is currently a 45-mile-per-hour tropical storm. Its present movement is northeast at 6 miles per hour, so it's been slowing very dramatically. Minimum central pressure is 996 millibars. As we continue to keep an eye on this, there are tropical storm warnings in effect once again for much of the eastern coast of the United States, from the Jacksonville metro all the way up to near Myrtle Beach, and tropical storm watches are in effect from there all the way up to near North Carolina, near Oak Island. So we're going to have to pay very close tabs to that. One thing we've been taking very close attention to, and if Galaxy and Justin want to expand on this a little bit, this system is moving east of the NHC's forecast cone, and it looks like it could be moving over water faster than anticipated. So if one of you two guys want to go ahead and take that away and kind of give analyze this a bit, go right ahead. Okay. All right.
So,
go ahead, Justin.
Yeah. So with current circumstances at play, Debby has moved, I would say, 20 to 30 miles east of where it was initially supposed to be, tracking. So right now it's heading almost due east, just north, which was not really expected. It's definitely ahead of the game. It did this last night. It looked like it was gonna get close to Cedar Key, but it hit just north of there. Now it's doing it again, and this goes to show how the tiniest wobbles and changes in the steering currents could have huge implications. And if this is able to continue its current trajectory, it could get out to the Gulf Stream and intensify.
Go ahead and get started
quicker than, especially the GFS, who's an outlier model. It might, trend more towards in between the Euro and the Icon model in terms of strength once it's at its peak.
Yeah. That's going to be something to pay attention to. All right. All right. Yeah, Sonny, I know you are in the VC right now. Go ahead and tell our audience, say hello to them real quickly.
Hello, guys.
Yeah, I kind of saw your chats. I know you're heading to Orlando tomorrow. In terms of tomorrow, it looks like... Yeah, it looks like things are. It looks like there might still be a few impacts. Let me go ahead and check the radar very quickly. I just want to see if
yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, it looks like. Hold up. Yeah, it looks like in terms of Orlando. I know you were talking a little bit about that. All the rain stuff and all the bad stuff Debby is facing has moved out of the area, so it shouldn't be too big of an issue. But I would warn you to be very careful when you get there, because there might be some flooding going on. Just pay very close attention to that.
Yeah, we know. That's why we're not driving.
Yeah, it's good. It's a good thing you're not driving in this either, because Debby would be right in the way. It's on the I-95 corridor, and it's ultimately not generally a good situation to drive through, especially in terms where we are expecting over 20 inches of rainfall still in parts of South Carolina, which is one thing we're paying attention to. Yeah, it looks like the rainfall for Florida is over, but now our main focus is shifted to Georgia and the Carolinas, as well as pretty much the entire East Coast, as there could be... Yes, Sonny, because you guys, you're definitely... a whole situation is going on right here where this thing might be hugging the coast and causing a ton of rainfall from pretty much Maine all the way down to where it's at right now. And here's the flash flooding potential. We do have a isolated moderate risk in the Philadelphia area as well as parts of northern Delaware and Maryland. But our main focus
I didn't vary, so
yeah, that's going to be something to watch. In the meantime, there is still a very high risk of flash flooding for parts of Charleston, Savannah, and just outside of Wilmington now, which is absolutely something you do not want to see. And the moderate risk of flash flooding expands all the way up to Virginia and now encompasses Raleigh-Durham and just outside of Charlotte, Augusta. It's always been there. Jacksonville is still in that. And pretty much even expanding towards the Outer Banks over here. So this is ultimately still going to be a very serious situation in regards to that. But go ahead.
This is like the first storm I've been to fly over.
Yeah, you might. Yeah. Your flight might end up getting diverted around that. If I'm going to be honest with you, I don't think they want to get caught into this. So
yeah. So how do you go around this? Like,
Flights usually divert around the tallest thunderstorms.
yeah.
Also, I want to say there was a flash flood warning extended for Charleston.
Yep.
For Charleston, South Carolina.
All right. Thank you very much, Galaxy. Yeah, let's go ahead and take a look at this very quickly. We're going to go ahead and switch radars to cover this flash flood warning. This is this has been rated considerable. Expected rainfall rate is 1.5 to 2.5 inches per hour, which is absolutely insane. At 8:46 p.m., Doppler radar indicated heavy rainfall across the warned area. Between 2 and 4 inches have already fallen. The expected rainfall rate is 1.5 to 2.5 inches in an hour. Additional rains of 2 to 4 inches are possible within the warned area. I'm guessing that's kind of like the first wave of this before another wave and another band moves through Charleston and just kind of continues to cause all that flooding over there. So remember, we were saying this last night, turn around, don't drown. Only a few inches of rainfall can lift your vehicle, and that's something we absolutely need to continue to keep close tabs on right there. In the meantime, though, flash flooding is ongoing or expected to begin shortly. It's also a considerable flash flood warning. We have flash flood warnings pretty much from Charleston all the way to south of Savannah near Brunswick, Georgia, right here. Between 4 and 7 inches have already fallen in that area. Additional rain amounts of 1 to 2 inches are possible for the warned area. Flash flooding is ongoing or expected to begin shortly. So ultimately, that's a very big situation that's going on. But to those in the VC, if you guys would like to touch on this or something else that catches your eye, feel free to go ahead and do that right now.
I'm using an extended radar and going back further in the radar history, you can see one single rain band just basically stay in the same exact spot for a couple, an hour or two, which for the rainfall rates is going to cause a lot of flash floodings. So again, it's not necessarily about the storm just being there. It depends on where the rain bands set up and if they'll start training or going over the same area consistently.
Yeah.
Let's see what the power outages updates are.
Yeah, let's go ahead and take a look at the power outages. Yeah, they're pretty it's not very good. Florida by far though has the worst power outages, and they're mainly concentrated at the landfall area in the Big Bend. But I wanted to go ahead and tell you guys this because I caught this earlier. Jefferson County only has 2 customers with power.
Wow.
2.
Dang.
Wow.
Yep.
Gee.
Yep.
Well, they were lucky.
Yeah, every single customer other than 2 others in Jefferson County are without power. Pretty much everywhere in the Big Bend, you at least have, I'd say 80%, 70 to 80% without power, and and Gainesville. Yeah, go ahead. Sorry.
But my friend goes to college in Tallahassee.
Yeah, Tallahassee is just west of all that. they only have 5,000 customers out of power out of 131,000, and I only say 5,000 because of the population, because a lot of these areas are just completely knocked offline, knocked out of power. It's pretty bad. Even in Gainesville, the Gainesville area, you're looking at 10,000 customers without power, and that's just east of that. Jacksonville has about 1,000 so far. The area north of it, Nassau, is about 700. So we have to keep tabs on it. Georgia, we're also seeing those power outages starting to ramp up a bit, especially in southern rural Georgia. Yeah. What's up?
I was gonna say 5 minutes ago there was a tornado warning issued for Seabrook Island, and just now there was a tornado
where?
warning.
Hold on.
Where?
Yeah.
Seabrook Island, South Carolina, and just now there was a tornado warning issued for Hilton Head Island, South Carolina.
Yep, we have it pulled up right here on stream. Thank you very much for that. We have our tornado warning. Severe thunderstorm capable of producing a tornado. Severe thunderstorms capable of producing a tornado were located along a line extended from Folly Field 6 miles east of Hilton Head Airport, moving northeast at 30 miles per hour. Hazard tornado, radar indicated rotation. Flying debris could be caught with those without shelter. But so yeah, the threat of tropical tornado still persists for quite a while. Even though the main threat with this is now flooding, the threat for tornadoes is definitely still there. And speaking of go ahead.
Do you think the East Coast can get tornadoes with this too?
That's a little bit harder to tell. But if the wind shear forms at the right angle and the outer bands can kind of be at that kind of angle, then definitely it could. But I will say though, at least after this thing emerges out into the Atlantic Ocean, it's going to be hard to determine that from then on out. But we'll have to keep close tabs on that, just because there's been so much uncertainty with the track and with how this thing is going to reorganize and reintensify. And Galaxy, you were making this point before stream that this thing really broadened out, and this thing's going to need to tighten again. So if you want to go ahead and expand on that, feel free to do that.
Yeah, so you can see on satellite imagery that the storm is getting sheared. You can see the mid-level center going much closer to the coast than the low-level center, which is still near the border of Florida and Georgia. And so this...
Yeah. Okay. Oh, what the heck? My Discord disconnected for just a split second. Go ahead and continue.
It's happening to people I know.
Yeah, it keeps happening. Discord's being Discord. Galaxy, if you want to continue, go ahead.
I was gonna say that basically, the system, it's become broader, and there's also been a dry slot. So obviously it's over land, so there's not going to be convection as much. So the rainfall and the convection is getting lighter. So if it's going to strengthen, first of all, it's going to have to move a little bit further offshore than just off the coast. Those are very shallow waters. So upwelling will occur quickly if that's where it stalls. But if it stalls a little bit further offshore, it'll be in the Gulf Stream, which has a lot of ocean heat content, which will allow for a lot of deep thunderstorms for an inner core to form again for strengthening. So it all depends on where it starts the northward turn.
Yeah. And I'm seeing this on radar. Thanks for linking me the COD radar. I'm noticing, I watched this over the last couple of hours, that loop. It started off as a relatively tight core, and it's just been getting broader and broader and broader thanks to land interaction. So it moving out to sea much faster than anticipated definitely could help with that rebuilding process. Maybe a little bit faster. Don't know just exactly how fast it'll happen. It's going to really depend on if this thing can keep itself organized, which we'll have to pay attention to. But Galaxy, considering that this thing is moving south of the track and is kind of making a beeline towards the ocean much further south than anticipated, what is your overall thoughts on maybe it rebuilding its core a little faster than anticipated?
Yeah, that could definitely happen, but again, it can fire off some convection to start over the shallow waters, but once it upwells cooler waters, it really has to get over the Gulf Stream if it wants to be able to sustain the convection before upwelling occurs, and then the system would just die off. Well, not die off, but it would become more of like Ian 2022 after it made landfall in Florida and it got towards the Gulf Stream. That was more of like it looked very frontal, so that could happen to this if it's not able to get an inner core going again, because you can see the rain band is very strong.
Yeah. You're referring to the rain band that's pummeling the Charleston area, correct?
Yeah.
All right. Yeah, I'm noticing that as well. Hey, Justin, I want to get your take on all of this. What are your overall thoughts on kind of just what we're talking about?
Checking the satellite out, the deep convection that it had when it first made landfall is completely stripped away. Like there's like a low level, kind of like a low level swirl that I'm noticing.
Mm-hmm.
It looks almost extra tropical in that way, but it's definitely not.
No, it's not.
But I mean, time will tell as to like what this will do once it gets out into the Atlantic. But I agree with Galaxy Bender. I think that if it just meandered over the shelf waters, all that upwelling would give it only like a brief burst of convection, since it will be warm initially, but then it upwells it. And I think the rainfall totals, if this keeps going on the trajectory, might like kind of take itself out of Georgia and South Carolina, not as badly as it like once showed. Like it was showing like the pink, 20 to 30 inch rainfall totals over South Carolina and Georgia. They kind of left the gas on that. The highest rainfall totals I think will be further north in South Carolina compared to what it was originally forecasted, assuming it still stays close to the coastline overall.
All right. Thank you very much. All right, thank you, Justin, for that. Just wanted to get your guys' take on this because, I've been watching it for the last several hours, and it's definitely been getting broader. It's definitely losing a lot of its kind of its core and its inner core right now. It's just the main thing I take away from this is just the fact this is potentially moving out into over water faster than a lot of people thought it would is something to kind of take into account and something to pay attention to. And we've been kind of saying this beforehand. The flooding threat's gonna obviously be the biggest threat with this in Georgia and South Carolina. Yes, we covered the landfall last night for when it made landfall in Florida, but Florida was never our main point of interest we were looking at. It was mainly Georgia, South Carolina, and North Carolina because of this flood risk right here.
Yeah, I was focused on that too for all week.
Yeah. I think we all were. What's up?
I was going to say the National Weather Service just issued a river flood warning for the following rivers in Georgia. Satilla River at Waycross, affecting Ware and Pierce counties. So,
this can't be good.
Flood stage is 16 feet, and it's expected to reach 17.4.
That's bad.
So it'll be 1.4 feet above
that's
flood
bad.
stage.
Mm-hmm.
So, impacts
Sonny, let Galaxy talk.
At 16 feet, flooding of agriculture and timberlands begins. And then at 17 feet, some roads get flooded. And then at 18 feet, golf courses get flooded and low-lying properties begin to flood. So,
ooh.
Yeah. All right. Yeah, that's not good news right there. Let's hope those waters don't get even higher than that, especially in those areas of Georgia. One thing I've been paying attention to is the drought meter in South Carolina as well, because the drought meter, I've been paying attention to it. I'm going to go ahead and pull this up very quickly just to kind of show you what I've been watching. This is the U.S. Drought Monitor right here. South Carolina is under a massive drought throughout the entire state right here. So like the areas along the coast are less affected than areas in states, but we're looking at like severe to extreme drought across a lot of these areas. And generally you would think, oh, that's a good thing we're getting all this rain because that could help eliminate that drought, which
Well, it's not.
it's not. Well, yeah, well, in a way it is going to get rid of the drought, but it's going to cause another issue. And that issue is going to be essentially because it's been so dry for so long, the ground is not going to kind of soak in the rain, incoming downpours as right away, and that's going to cause some runoff issues, and that's what's going to kind of cause flash flooding to start even faster, at least in a lot of these areas right here, because like you're such in such a big drought right here that it's just it's just not going to end well. In areas like Georgia though, it's a lot better down there, so I wouldn't be as concerned about that. Because I'd be kind of confident that the water can, at least the ground can drink some of it, but there's no way that unless it's like unless there's like a bunch of mangrove swamps in Georgia, that it's going to drink up 16 inches of water before runoff starts happening. And yeah, I don't really see that happening too much. So just something to pay attention to. But in the meantime, though, be sure to like the stream, subscribe to the channel if you are new, and if you want to ask us questions in the chat, feel free to ask them. We'd be happy to answer them. So, yeah, we're going to have to pay attention to that. Okay, we have our first question in here. Could the impacts in the Northeast be? It's a little too early to say for right now because the cone... Actually, the cone does have it moving towards the mid-Atlantic region, but our main threat for there is the rainfall and the flash flooding potential. In the Northeast, like depending on where you are, if you're like in Connecticut and Rhode Island, you could definitely see 6 to 8 inches of rain, same with New York City. But areas further to the north, like in New Hampshire, Vermont, Massachusetts, definitely could see 4 to 6 inches of rainfall. So that's another concern right there. So overall, flash flooding would be your main risk all the way up the East Coast. And would you guys like to expand on that?
I think you nailed everything. It's
You nailed everything.
It's too far out to really
Just
tell
the
at this
flooding
point.
part.
Yep.
Don't worry about the winds. Winds are going to be like 35 miles per hour winds.
Yeah. All right. What's our next question right here? Wondering what the models give for Nova Scotia. That's way too early for that to determine, but determine. What's up? Okay. Yeah, just way too early to determine that. I'm not really going to show those right now because that's that's not exactly my main focus. My main focus is to watch the flash flooding going on in the Carolinas because that's where it's going to be the most severe. Another thing I'm paying attention to as well, okay, is the storm surge. Still going to be 2 to 4 feet from Cape Fear all the way to the mouth of the St. Mary's River, which especially in coastal areas that are seeing like 20 inches of rain, that's going to potentially cause the flooding, especially the coastal flooding, to be even worse than what we were seeing beforehand. So that's what I'm paying attention to right there. So yeah, thank you for the questions. I really appreciate that. But yeah, that's kind of what we were looking at with Debby. Do you guys want to go ahead and kind of add a few more things about Debby before we move on to the next thing I wanted to go ahead and talk about?
Not really. Everything.
Go ahead, Justin.
Oh, go ahead.
You might have to say something.
Go ahead, Justin.
Oh, okay. I know you brought up the point about how it is broader, and looking at it on satellite, this is not a small storm. It's pretty big. So now that its wind field has expanded, I wonder what kind of the repercussions of that would be. Like, I wonder if once it gets back into the Atlantic, if it could keep the broadness but strengthen, or would it have to kind of contract in on itself and like hone it in to actually strengthen, or if it could keep its size?
Yeah.
Yeah, guys, we got more questions.
Okay. All right. Thank you very much. Any chance a hurricane can form while off the Carolina coast? Justin, we were kind of talking about that, at least to some extent. It's gonna Galaxy. What are your overall thoughts with what Justin was saying to kind of tie into this?
Yeah. So again, if it goes further out to sea before making the turn northward, it'll be into the Gulf Stream, and it'll have less upwelling to deal with. And so it'll be able to sustain convection and be able to form an inner core because the storm is very broad right now. And one of the problems before landfall in Florida was the inner core didn't form until the last minute, and then it was still dealing with dry air intrusions. So this is going to deal with a lot of dry air from land proximity and just crossing over land. So this is going to really have to take advantage of the Gulf Stream quickly because it's not going to have much time for quick strengthening.
Sure, absolutely. Okay. Yeah. How will the Gulf Stream affect? That's. Yeah, we already answered that for you right there. What are the chances that this has to come back into Georgia? That's not going to happen at this current point. Impacts for Raleigh, Durham. I can go ahead and pull them up for you right there. Here is what we got for the area around Raleigh, Durham. You're looking at 8 to 12 inches of rainfall in that area. Areas in the research triangle could see isolate higher or lower amounts, but 8 to 12 inches is what you should be expecting. You're under a moderate risk for flash flooding, so that's kind of the expectations right there. I'm not sure if you guys are under a flood watch or not. I'll go ahead and take a look. I'll go ahead and take a look at that in the NWS for the NWS. Website.
Well, Wake County, which is where Raleigh's in, is under a flood watch.
They're under a flood watch, yeah.
All right, perfect. Yeah, you guys are under a flood watch, so that's kind of what you should be expecting. Flash flooding. Flash flooding is your main threat up there. It's not going to be winds because the main core of the wind field is going to stay. It's still somewhat compact. It hasn't really pushed out and expanded like a lot of organized hurricanes do. The system itself is broadened out, but the wind field itself really hasn't. So that's kind of an interesting tidbit to pay attention to because just ultimately what you need to take away is the wind is not going to be the greatest threat at all. It's going to be flash flooding for Raleigh, Durham. Okay, what else? What other questions do we have? We do not have any at this current point, so if you would like to ask them, feel free to go ahead and do that. In the meantime, though, if there aren't any objections, I'd like to go ahead and move on and talk a little bit about what's going on with the area of interest and another tropical wave that's going on in the Atlantic, and we'll come back to Debbie as needed. So if you guys are okay with that.
Yeah.
Oh boy.
But for that tropical wave.
Yeah. Hey Yoshi, what's up?
Good. My old Discord finally works again, but
Congratulations.
I didn't even know that there was a stream tonight. I'm gonna be honest.
That's fine. It's okay. Well, we're talking about Debbie, and we were actually about to move on to a couple of waves in the Atlantic. But if you've been paying attention to Debbie, what are your overall thoughts with this? Just because we've been noticing several things with it. It's moved further to the east once again than anticipated, and it looks like it's going to be entering the Atlantic much earlier than anticipated. So, what's your overall thoughts on this?
Keeps on this.
What?
It's going to move over via the Atlantic.
Yeah.
In a couple hours if it keeps going like this. Probably in about 2 hours.
That would be interesting to see how it all played out. But, yeah, what are your overall thoughts with Debbie, with how it's progressed and kind of how things are going to?
Very worrying. It will stall over the next 48 hours, and it will flood anywhere from Savannah up to Raleigh.
Yeah. Yeah, that's concerning to say. Someone in the chat was asking about Charlotte, North Carolina. I can pull it up. You're in a slight risk for flash flooding. You're just outside of that moderate. You're expected to get anywhere, depending on where you are in the Charlotte metro. If you're in like Union County, North Carolina, you could be expecting 4 to 6 inches. If you're in Gaston County, like to the west of Charlotte, you could see 2 to 4. It's just going to really depend on where you are in the Charlotte metro. It's kind of on that rain gradient that I was paying attention to. So thanks for the question in regards to that. So, yeah. In the meantime, though, if there aren't really any questions, we can go ahead and move on to the other topics I wanted to go ahead and talk about tonight. So. Feel free to keep asking questions. We can always circle back if we need to. But in the meantime, though, I wanted to go ahead and move on for a second. Because we've been noticing some stuff going on in the Atlantic Ocean. We've been noticing a tropical wave continuing to surge through the Caribbean Sea. It did have some previous ensemble model support with potential developments either in the Western Caribbean or the Bay of Campeche, although things have been kind of a bit iffy right there. So we're going to go ahead and spend a little bit of time talking about that. For those who... Go ahead.
First off, we do need to show the viewers the possibility of what's going on and what's going to go down in the hurricane season. Can you show them the week 2 and week 3 map from the Climate Prediction Center?
Yeah, is it the one for August 7th to the 13th and the 14th to the 20th?
Yes.
All right, go ahead.
All right.
I already have it pulled up on stream.
Awesome. So, for the next 3 weeks, at least until August 20th, however, looking at further out models, it looks like it's likely going to be more. We have a pretty good chance of seeing a good amount of tropical systems. As the weather people say, the switch has been flipped for the Atlantic, and the forecasts have been very, very worrying, to say the least, about this season. The highest, it's actually been the highest forecasts for a hurricane season since hurricane season forecasting was ever introduced. I'd guess I'd guess the second most would either be 2005.
Ever introduced as a thing?
No, it's been a thing. Ever introduced?
What's up, Palm Tree?
No, I'm talking about since hurricane season forecasting was ever introduced. This is the highest. That's insane. Highest forecast ever.
Yeah, they started forecasting the stuff back in 1950, so that just tells you how long it's been going on.
I can believe it.
I mean, the official stuff. The official stuff, of course. Okay, stop. Time out. Go ahead. Yoshi?
The entire Atlantic hurricane season, there's been forecasts for an entire season since, I believe, 1981, when Colorado State University started their forecasts.
Yeah.
So ever since then, we haven't seen a higher forecast than now.
That's pretty insane, to say the very least. But in regards to these areas of further development, Yoshi, what's your overall takes on these?
Oh, I believe they're possible. The climate models say that we're going to have a really conducive period of time here. Something that definitely does worry me is that something called the MJO, right?
Yep, the Madden-Julian oscillation.
For the people that don't know, the Madden-Julian oscillation is pretty much oscillating types of air movements, whether it's going down in the atmosphere or whether it's going up in the atmosphere. If you want hurricanes, you want it to go up in the atmosphere. It helps with convection. And we're going to see that over Africa, a very strong MJ over Africa from now until late August, early September. And by then, the Atlantic is usually conducive enough to not even care about the MJO. At least that even without the positive MJO, that a lot of storms can still form.
Yeah.
So we're gonna be seeing from now until probably October, late October, we're gonna see very worrying environments here.
Yeah, for sure.
Somebody asked a question, Pat.
Yeah, I saw that, but I'll get to that in a second. But Galaxy wanted to comment on some of the ensemble runs he's been presenting behind the scenes. So if you want to go ahead, I'm going to go ahead and start pulling them up on the stream. So if you want to go ahead and start with those.
Yeah, so I want to say actually, hold on a second.
Yeah. Hey, your mic's a little low, so just wanted to give you a heads up.
Yeah, I have to restart my computer.
All right. That's fine. All right, that's fine if you need to do that. In the meantime, we'll go ahead and take questions while we're waiting for Galaxy. Thank you very much, Sonny. Okay.
Hey.
What's up?
The history aspect of what Yoshi said is very interesting to me.
All right. Yeah.
Because before I got on here, I was actually tracking some random history, so
yeah,
it's very interesting.
Yeah. Go ahead.
It'd be interesting if this actually pans out and we're having a very, very historic hurricane season, because something tells me that this is going to indeed be the case, because what he said about the MJO, yeah. I know what the MJO is.
Yeah. Yep.
Madden-Julian oscillation. Don't you want that MJO to be favorable? Because the greens usually means it's favorable, right? And the
Yes.
On most graphs, it's either green or blue. Also, sorry to interrupt, but we do have a question. Edward M said, do you think the Atlantic will be closed to tropical development during the month of September, as some models suggest? And I'm going to directly say this to you, Edward, assuming that you're still on here. I'm going to assume that what you're referring to is the negative MJO that is forecasting over the Atlantic in September. The period of the MJO where air goes down, which cyclones really don't like. But here's the thing. Literally every other dynamic for this hurricane season is going to be really good, or at least average.
Yeah.
Some of them average, some of them really good. So the other things that are going on will mean that the Atlantic is still going to be conductive enough as to where a ton of tropical systems can form no matter what the MJO. Sure, a positive MJO would definitely help, but it's not exactly needed for what we're likely about to see.
Yeah, definitely. I hope that answered the question. Okay. Yeah. Edward M. We answered his question right there. If we have any more questions, feel free to type them in. In the meantime, all right, Galaxy, go ahead and you wanted to talk about the ensembles. Go ahead and the floor is yours.
I was going to talk about the global tropics hazards outlook for week 2 and week 3. You can see that there's below average rainfall probability for the Western Pacific, which is MJO, which favors the Atlantic.
Yeah.
And also the ensembles, where there shows tropical cyclone formation probability near the main development region. The Euro ensembles also supports that.
All right. Okay. All right. So, I know you're showing me some stuff behind the scenes. Would you like to go ahead and talk about the ensemble runs you were showing us?
Yeah. So basically the GFS and the Canadian model ensembles, they both agree about a Gulf system that will be stronger, while the Euro ensembles, which appears to be what the Climate Prediction Center is going with, shows a main development region system.
All right.
So, and the past few runs on the Euro have been having this storm at inside of 240 hours.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead and finish, Galaxy.
The past few runs in the Euro ensembles have had the storm strengthening to at least strong tropical storm strength, and that's inside 240 hours for most of the ensemble members. So it's not out of the realm of the possibility that we can see a hurricane
for the European
next week. Yeah, for the European.
Okay.
The GFS and the Canadian are much more conservative on that signal, and more aggressive with the Gulf of Mexico signal, which is the currently marked area of interest.
All right. Yeah. In your opinion, Galaxy, could we see a dual threat where one thing forms in the MDR and one thing forms in the Gulf at the same time?
I mean, that could happen, but on most of the model runs, it's either one or the other. So I don't really think that would generally happen. But I do think, since the Climate Prediction Center is marking the one in the MDR, that one is more likely. even though that the GFS and the GFS has been more accurate this season.
Yeah. And yeah, I will say that last bit's been a bit surprising, but Sonny, what'd you want to go ahead and talk? What'd you want to go ahead and say?
I'll just read what that D. Greenberg is reading.
Okay, I'm taking a look. Oh yeah, I see it. Okay, don't worry, but okay, all right. Yeah, all right. Thanks for bringing. Yeah, we'll keep an eye on it. What's up?
So what do you think we're gonna like? What do you think's gonna happen with that second wave?
The one the one that's in the MDR right now?
Yes.
Yeah. Hey, Galaxy, is this the just enlighten me for a second? Is this the wave that the European is talking about, or is there one right behind that?
Yeah, the one that the European is talking about is the week 2 threat.
Okay, yeah. Is that wave in question the one over the Atlantic right now? That's east of the Cabo Verde Islands.
I do not know. I'll have to check.
All right, that's fine.
I'll check the.
Pat, can
What's
you
up?
look behind the scenes for a bit?
Sure. What's up? Yeah.
Something I don't want to spill over.
That's fine.
Yeah, the wave appears to be not this one, but the one that is coming off of Africa. The next wave to come off of Africa, I think. Let me check.
All right, that's fine. All right. Okay. In the meantime, though, that's just some of the stuff we've been paying attention to. Tropics, like the fact that this is all happening in early August has been pretty interesting. Although I will say it's not exactly unexpected because this kind of stuff can happen this early in the month. Although it usually doesn't start to really ramp up until the second or third week. 2023 last year we had 4 tropical storms happen in I believe 24 or 36 hours, form all over the place in the Atlantic, and that was the third week of August. From last year, and that's when things started ramping up because we had 4 named storms going boom, 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 boom. One of them, which was Franklin, became a Cat 4 hurricane that, thankfully, outside of producing some tropical storm conditions over the Hispaniola, didn't do too much. Then we had Idalia, then we had Lee, and then we continued to have activity all the way until the end of October, which was pretty impressive to say the very least, especially considering that was an El Nino year. And considering that now it's August 5th, we had Hurricane Debby make landfall in the Big Bend of Florida in a similar situation as Hermine did back in 2016, except the biggest flood threat's going to no longer be in the Northeast, but it's going to be in the Deep South, is a bit concerning to say the very least. And we have 2 tropical waves that we're watching and keeping tabs on right there that has some sort of ensemble support from one or the other right here. And we can kind of show you that once again because Galaxy was explaining it. The Europeans heavily favoring the MDR threat right there, which I will say if that were the case, the main question we will have is could this affect land or not? And based on some of the ensembles, it's kind of interesting how this is all forming because it looks like the majority of them outside the Lesser Antilles keep it out to sea, but that is 10 days out, so it's something you need to take with a grain of salt. I want to check what the 18Z European is going for. Okay, that is not out yet. What's up?
I do want to say that I just confirmed it's not the wave that's currently by the Cabo Verde Islands. It's
sure.
It's one that's still over Africa.
So it's the one kind of behind it.
Yeah, it's the one behind it.
All right.
And also, if you look at the hold on, let me switch to the 12Z.
Sure.
If you look at the 12Z Euro Ensemble's velocity potential anomaly, you can see a large wave. You can see a large MJO favorable pattern set up right over Africa, which is very favorable for.
You said the
waves.
12Z velocity potential.
So I'll just send you the link because it's weird to navigate to.
Okay. All right, that's fine. All right, that's fine. I'll get that for in just a second. Okay, thank you. All right, go.
I do have a question here.
Sure.
Jordan Hansen said, let me get it. What are the basics behind how these low pressure systems form in Africa, how tropical waves work, and how they form? I'm gonna do a bit on that, as I promised him.
Sure.
So pretty much, they come up mountains in Ethiopia, the middle of Africa.
Mm-hmm.
Those mountains make clouds.
Yep.
And they go across the entirety of Africa really, really strong, especially in August. July and August are when these things are the strongest. Some people might be surprised since they thought that September would be the strongest, but that's when the Atlantic is most conductive. But in July and August especially, but it can happen anywhere at any time of year between May and I believe the beginning of November, when these things go through the entirety of Africa as giant clouds, and they're really strong. Once they touch down on the ocean, and pretty much these things need a couple things to survive, mainly the energy. And what gives them the energy is the sea surface temperatures.
Yep.
They get the energy off of these sea surface temperatures, and if everything is conductive enough, then it starts to build a whole lot of clouds higher and higher in the atmosphere. And that's called... And that rising motion in the air in that tropical wave is called convection. And you can tell convection is happening in a tropical wave or in any general system when on satellite you begin to see a whole lot of clouds pop up, like reds and even purples sometimes.
Yeah.
And soon enough, these things gain enough energy gain a low pressure system. It starts to spin around that low pressure system. If in a conductive enough environment, it becomes a tropical system. That's like a very basic one of it.
Yeah.
You could take, if a person smarter than me could take well more than an hour to explain this if they really wanted to.
Yeah. I mean, as much as I'd love to, I don't have over an hour to do that. But
yeah, I know. I tried doing very basic.
It's basic. That's a good enough explanation. Who else wanted to say something?
Me.
Go ahead.
Oh.
Can you? So you can't use the term vertical hot towers until it's already a tropical system, or can you do it before it's a tropical system?
Usually, vertical hot towers only happen in stronger tropical storms to hurricanes. So no, you can't do them in tropical waves.
Galaxy, what's your thoughts?
I was gonna say, vertical hot towers just means that it's rotating around the system. So like we had that right before landfall with Debby. And so
I think vertical hot towers are like very centralized and very sudden pops up of convection that go really high in the atmosphere, again like negative 80 cloud tops.
It's not vertical hot towers, it's vortical hot towers because they have rotating.
Oh, I thought you said vertical. I thought you said vertical.
Vertical hot towers.
Yeah, I probably misunderstood.
So those are the ones that form mesovertices, which can have strong wind gusts. But I will say, I'm looking at satellite imagery. The current wave that we're tracking is over Central Africa.
Yeah, I took a look at it.
West Central Africa. So yeah.
Yeah, that's what I'm paying attention to. So, yeah.
Someone said when HC is out. It reminded me of something I want to tell y'all. Let me get it. A new NHC thingy came out.
Oh, okay.
I'd say not 30
45.
You know what? Yeah, 30 minutes ago. I'm trying to find the wording here. I know I spotted it somewhere.
Okay.
Hold on.
They're already.
Well, all right. This is in the key messages.
Oh.
And remember, Vienna.
Okay.
And I'm going to tell y'all, the NHC does not use this wording lightly, ever. Quote, 1, potentially historic. All right? that gives you the precedent of what you're about to read. Potentially historic heavy rainfall across southeast Georgia and the coastal plain of South Carolina through Saturday morning will likely result in areas of catastrophic flooding. The NHC never uses wording like that unless they are very, very, very sure something really bad is about to go down. All right?
Yeah. Yeah, that's quite interesting. If you'd like
It's
to continue,
concerning.
yeah, if you'd like to continue, or if Galaxy, if there's something you wanted to add, go right ahead.
That's all I have for now.
All right.
Not really. I'll just read the discussion. I'll read key points from it. So Debby
Sure.
is likely to weaken a little more, and then after it moves over water, it should allow for gradual intensification, and the NHC intensity forecast, which gives a peak of 60 miles per hour, says it follows the bulk of the model guidance.
Yeah.
And so the center of Debby has continued to move northeastward over southeastern Georgia this evening.
Yep.
A few reports of sustained winds of tropical storm force, and then initial motion is 55 knots. So I still think that the motion is inaccurate, but that might be the actual low-level center and not the mid-level center, which is the actual rainfall tracked by the radar.
Sure.
So then there's still low confidence. There's a high confidence that Debby will be meandering near southeastern U.S. coast for the next few days.
Yeah, and that's not good, especially in terms of rainfall. Oof.
And that's basically it. So
And then also, I gotta. Oh, sorry.
Go ahead, Galaxy.
I also wanted to talk about the Euro ensembles, but not for like specific signals, but for the MJO forecast.
Sure.
So if you go to 12Z, you can... Oh, I think I already talked about this, but there's going to be a favorable rising setup over Africa, which will allow for strong tropical waves. And if you go to the CFS model,
The CFS.
you can see the climate forecast system. You can
Sure.
see that through mid-August, this was consistently forecast through mid and late July. There's going to be a standing wave setup over Africa and some of the Arabian Sea, which is going to allow for a lot of strong storms. And then that sort of passes near the end of August, but there is still rising air near the end of August.
Yep.
There is still rising air over Western Africa or Eastern Africa and the Indian Ocean, so that would still help tropical waves. And then once we get into September, there's sinking air over the Atlantic and rising air in the Pacific, but climatology is likely just going to counteract that because that is peak hurricane season.
All right. And it's
I have-
also
I
not
have a
very strong
question.
either. What's up?
I'm on the site right now. Galaxy posted. What am I supposed to be looking at when I'm on there?
Well,
The greens...
in the greens and the oranges
The
generally.
green, so when you go out further in time, the green is rising. Well, the green is upper level divergence, which is I don't remember the specific MJO phase. It might be negative or positive, but it's just upper level divergence, which allows
Green
for
is
convection.
positive, red is negative.
Go ahead and continue, Galaxy.
Yeah. So I was gonna say, yeah. So
Yeah, I was
the
kind of
green
confused
is-
why. Sorry.
You're good.
The green is showing upper level divergence, which allows for more thunderstorm development because upper level divergence allows for lower level convergence, which allows for convection. So it basically allows for easier thunderstorm development. And
Yeah.
then the red is sinking air, or upper level convergence, which allows sinking air, which allows non-promotion or dry air and limited thunderstorm development.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I see in the end of August. That we're in red. So, but like Yoshi said, it doesn't matter when
Climatology will likely counteract that.
Yeah.
Yeah, and also I'm looking at it too, the orange reddish isn't, especially as you get into mid-September, it's not nearly as strong. It's not really that strong either, so we'll have to keep tabs on that. But regardless, though, I hope you guys got a little bit about that and kind of why we're so concerned about this hurricane season, because you have an MJO set up over the Atlantic Ocean right now. It's bringing in a ton of probabilities that, quite frankly, we do not want to see, especially at this time of August. Typically, we don't see stuff like this fire off until another 2 weeks from now. That's typically how it is climatologically speaking, and it kind of just fired off right on point last year to kind of kick off the active phase of hurricane season. But I want your guys' opinion on this. Do you think Debby is kind of the quote unquote catalyst to this active period of the hurricane season? Quote unquote.
It's an appetizer.
Sure.
Yes, because again, we're moving into a favorable MJO phase, and Debby is the start of that.
All right. Just thought I'd ask for your guys' opinion on that, because that's kind of what I was kind of gathering. That's kind of what I was gathering as well, because I felt like Debby was kind of going to be the kickoff, and then the rest of it was going to start rolling through for quite some time. So, yeah, ultimately all things we're going to have to pay attention to. Be sure to like the stream, subscribe to the channel if you are new. The goal of this channel is to get more people engaged with weather. If you have any questions for us, feel free to type them into the chat. So, yeah, you kind of got a little bit of an idea of why we're so concerned about this. I want to go ahead and pivot back to Debby a little bit, because I was reading the discussion a little bit, and I found some of this kind of stuff. Some of the stuff interesting, because number one, I'm looking at the cone. The NHC put out a new cone in regards to this. They now want this thing to move out into the Atlantic Ocean tomorrow morning instead of maybe tomorrow night. And this thing's going to be staying over water for at least 2 days. And
ooh, that's bad.
That's and that's something I'm really concerned about, because yes, the system's broad right now, but where this thing is at, I'm going to first take a look at a few things here to kind of get an idea of kind of what kind of conditions it's going to run into. It looks like the sea surface temperatures, it's going to be running into about 29 to 30 degrees Celsius waters if that track holds. Maybe a little bit cooler, but ultimately that's not the thing I'm concerned about, because it's moving so slow. I'm more concerned about the ocean heat content in regards to this.
Yeah.
Because the OHC is essentially how much warm water there is, how deep down it goes. Because the system's essentially going to be stalling, and it's going to be stalling in an area of very warm waters, it's going to have the question of how deep can it tap into these waters. And considering that we're seeing about 75 to 90 OHC, those waters go relatively deep. And I can go ahead and kind of get a general idea, at least with the 26 degree isotherms right here, where this thing is going to be moving through. It's going to be moving through at least 26 degrees Celsius waters that are about 75 to 50 to 75 meters deep. So whatever upwelling this thing does, it's ultimately going to still tap into some very warm water, and that's what I'm concerned about in regards to potential intensification. As for the wind shear, it's kind of hard to tell what it's going to do. Galaxy, what are your thoughts on the wind shear and how this thing could potentially affect Debby? Hello? Okay.
Oh, sorry, my internet is lagging.
Don't worry about it.
But you were talking about wind shear?
Yeah.
You were talking about...
Yeah,
okay,
we're talking about wind
so
shear and what this might do.
the upper level environment, there's an anticyclone that was previously aiding Debby, now to its southwest, which could cause wind shear along with the dip in a jet stream, which is the trough that it just missed.
All right.
Causing it to stall. So it could be sheared, and it could end up again with an Ian type structure after in the Southwest Atlantic with like it looks subtropical / extratropical, but again the main threat is the flooding and not necessarily the high winds. but it
Yeah.
still could intensify over the warm waters.
Yeah. All right. Thank you very much. We have Brendan in right now. He is our general manager of Storms United. Brendan, how are you doing? Okay, he's probably okay. He's gone AFK right now. I hope he'll probably be back in just a second. But
Yeah.
yeah. Brendan, you there?
Brandon?
Hello. Okay.
Yes. Hello. Yes.
All right. Yeah, we're streaming right now. We're streaming about Debby and some of the stuff that's going on in the southeastern United States. So, yeah, if you've been paying attention to it, I know your mic's a little bit garbled right now. What's your overall thoughts on it?
Oh, sorry, mic was down here.
You're good.
My apologies. Can you guys hear me now?
Yes.
Yeah, a lot better.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't believe I have anything additional that I could add other than
All
what
right.
we already know. I will say, though, that I think this system in particular is a reminder to folks that live in the Carolinas or even just areas that are prone to tropical storms and hurricanes that this is a system that, although we're not seeing strong winds necessarily, at least right now, let's not forget the main hazard here is flooding. We're seeing that right now in Charleston and Myrtle Beach with the flash flooding threat.
They could change about the way it's tomorrow. Who knows?
Yep.
Yeah. So, just a primary example, Pat, of when a lot of folks don't take precautions because they think, oh, it's just a tropical storm, no big deal. Flooding kills. It's the deadliest hazard. So, unfortunately, we've already had a couple of people pass away.
Yeah,
God rest their souls.
Four people in Florida so far.
Yeah. So, and it's likely because of flooding. So,
Yeah.
that's all I have to add on that. I mean, there's really nothing more I can add. I think we're all kind of
turn around and don't drown.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. All right. We also have Weather Kingdom in once again. How are you doing?
I'm doing pretty good. How about you?
Doing great. What's your overall kind of thoughts of Debby, and then we can talk about a few other things.
All right. First off, yes, Debby made landfall as an 80-mile-an-hour storm. One thing I noticed throughout today, it has moved a bit more east than was expected. I was looking in the behind of this, and I noticed that it was having a lot of east motion to it more than a northeast. But in the last about hour, it has been back on the track for a northeast. Overall, the structure has took some land interaction and messed it up a bit, but overall, the structure ain't too bad, and it ain't completely destroyed. One thing I noticed as the sun was going down, there was some thunderstorm convection just off the Carolinas coast.
Yeah.
So there, that put an alarm out for me, because if that's already happening, what happens when the core gets back on the water? But it will have to take a few good hours to restructure itself with the inner core, and I do think the inner core never fully developed last night. It was starting to, but it definitely had some struggles, and I think that with the land interaction has messed it up. It's not starting from scratch. I just think it's going to take a bit longer than expected to define the structure, but as the National Hurricane Center pushed the cone, I think, a little bit more out and keeps it over the water for like a day and a half or two.
Yeah.
There is very warm waters, and if you look at the waters and see where the path is, it does go over a bit of the Gulf Stream. And with the wind shear factor and the dry air, I don't know too much about the dry air right now, but
I can take a look.
Yeah, if you could take a look for me.
Yeah, I'm looking at the dry air. It's hard to tell because there are some thunderstorms kind of moistening up the atmosphere, at least at the top of it. I'm not 100% sure about the dry air underneath all this.
Have you guys noticed
Galaxy,
something?
what's up? Go ahead. What's up? Go ahead.
There's a dry slot if you zoom into the storm, you can see a dry slot right in between the main rain band that's providing the flooding and the actual inner core, or what was the inner core. So
Yeah.
there is a dry slot that you can see.
Yeah, I'm taking a look at it right
Let's
now.
see.
Yeah, I'm seeing it right now.
Oh,
Weather.
I see
Yeah.
it.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's
Yeah,
gonna
great.
that's gonna need to mix out before it can really develop. But yeah, Weather Kingdom, go ahead and continue.
One thing you do notice is, I will say, Florida got quite a lot of rain, and I actually was just seeing the news a bit, and in Sarasota, Florida, there was about 500 rescues, water rescues,
Ooh.
that town alone. So that
you know what's
was
the funniest part of you know what's the funniest part of Debby?
What's
Right?
that?
Today, Border Patrol, United States Border Patrol, found about $1 million worth of cocaine ended up on Florida beaches.
What is that? Oh, is that from Debby?
Yeah.
Oh wow.
Somehow Debby flew a whole bunch of cocaine into the ocean. I
Well-
don't get how, but they did.
Well,
Steering currents.
okay, that's gonna hurt the animals.
That's interesting. That's a weird fun fact that I think that a lot
So
of
yeah,
people are
anyone
going
on the west coast of Florida, if you don't want to get accidentally high, don't go to the Florida beaches.
Yeah, don't go to the
today.
beaches.
I would like
I
to
wouldn't
say-
even go
Well,
there
you know,
anyway because of the steer of the
Don't-
high tides.
And just remember, if it looks like sugar, it's probably not, and it's cocaine.
There's a
PS
tornado warning.
the Storms
anyway.
United PSA.
I don't mind getting high.
Yeah,
You only get what you want.
The Storms
so
United
might as well
PSA.
do it.
yeah.
There's an
I've been
observed
hearing
tornado.
Storms United PSA, don't do drugs, kids.
Okay.
If you're over
Back to-
21 plus, you can do
Okay.
drugs.
Okay. All right. Okay. I think. All right. Let's get back into this whole thing. I know that's actually kind of a weird fact. I have a feeling that. What's up?
There's a observed tornado warning for
Wait,
Seabrook
where?
Island,
Oh.
South Carolina.
Oh, I see.
Oh.
That's in
The
Charleston.
earlier-
In Charleston.
The earlier tornado warning for Seabrook Island and Kiowa Island and Megget, South Carolina until 11:15 p.m. It's an
Oh.
observed tornado.
Okay. Yeah, I just saw it. Looks like the storm that has prompted the warning has weakened below severe severe limits and is no longer capable of producing a tornado. Is that just south of Charleston, or is that different?
Does it say expires at 11:15?
Yes.
Okay, I think that might be it.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
It looks like there was a
Weakening, that's
brief
good.
spin up in there. So that's another threat you're going to have to pay attention to.
It was an observed tornado.
Yeah, it was an observed tornado.
Okay. It was issued at 11:10. It was set to expire at 11:15 because it's no longer capable of producing a tornado.
Yep.
All right.
All right. But yeah, anyway, let's hey Weather Kingdom, did you want to say anything more about Debby, or were you almost done?
I was almost done.
All right.
We're gonna have to see how this looks in the morning. I do think this could, once again, go over the waters around not midnight, early tomorrow morning. I know the National Hurricane Center has it for 8, but if it does an eastern jog overnight, I do see that more like 5 in the morning. That, any extra hour means a lot to Debby.
Yep.
Because with the core going over the water, that could just mean more of a eastern push into the Gulf Stream. And I will say that I know the icon is definitely over dramatic, but so far on track wise, I noticed that the icon actually had it going more south of the National Hurricane Center. I'm not saying the strength. I'm not saying the strength is going to happen, but I noticed the icon actually got the closest with the track. And if you look back yesterday's runs, it did show that. And then the Euro trended to that solution, the 12Z, but then in the 18Z that trended back. So we're going to have to watch. why does the icon show a much stronger storm? Reason is it goes deeper into the Gulf Stream, and it's probably stalls off the coast for a few hours or so. So that's why the icon does show that. GFS, I'm not seeing the GFS solution. I don't know why it's sticking to that solution that it goes right back into Georgia.
It's been doing that for a while.
I know, I noticed that.
That's how bar.
Yeah, ladies and gentlemen, that's the GFS
model,
being the GFS. Ha ha ha. What's up, Justin?
Is the icon model like traditionally accurate in terms of like intensity or track forecasting, or is it?
It's
just
been
kinda like an
overdoing the
overload?
intensity.
The icon is a German mesoscale model, so it can't. It's like the NAM basically.
Yeah.
It overdid the intensity of Debby from when it was initially about to hit Florida.
Did it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
A little bit, but it's really overdoing it now. That it really overdid it when it entered the southwestern Atlantic. Like like there were some scenarios that had getting up to like Cat 3 and stuff.
It keeps doing
Yeah,
that. I know. That's like worst case. That is definitely worst.
That
case
was the
scenario.
worst case scenario.
That's worst case, but at the same time, I don't think it's going to happen unless the core somehow just magically rebuilds itself in a matter of like 6 hours.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Because
and
that's what
how
the
feasible is
icon
that?
bets on with these things.
When
It assumes
I
the
can
best
see,
of
I
them.
can see going back to be a category 1.
I can see that.
It's hard. Like here's the thing. I'm actually going to agree with Galaxy on this. I think it's going to be. I think it's honestly going to I don't think it's even going to get to hurricane strength because it needs to rebuild its inner core first, and because of all the shear and the dry slot, it needs to do a lot of work first in order for that to happen. And yeah, the OHC is definitely going to help with it, but how long is it going to take? Because this thing finally started to get its act together, but by the time it didn't have enough time to really build off of that because it made landfall. And now that it's dealing with arguably more obstacles than it was over Florida, I would say 60 is probably where I'm holding it right now. That's where my cap is in terms of intensity. What's up, Galaxy?
I will
That's
say
what the
the
NHC has.
easier route to becoming a hurricane is through like borderline subtropical or extratropical intensification with baroclinic forcing,
Yeah.
because it would, if it stalls over the Gulf Stream, it wouldn't have enough time to really build an inner core unless it like rapidly intensifies again, which the NHC said most of the models don't support right now.
Yeah.
I can check the ship's rapid intensification index though.
Yeah, please do. Just for my curiosity and just for my interest, is it still going to stall out? Yes, it's going to stall. Yeah.
May I say something about the wind shear?
Go right ahead.
I'm looking at a map. If you want me to send this to you in VC,
Sure.
it shows this. It's on Mike's weather page. It shows you the future wind shear map, and it does show minus 20 knots over Debby right now, and
But you mean
way
just 20
far-
knots or minus 20 knots?
minus 20 knots.
Okay, that's interesting.
I can send it in VC
Please do.
right now if you want.
Yeah.
All right.
All right. I sent the ship's forecast. So
Yeah.
25 knot intensification is 12%, but the wind shear graph is somewhat low. The wind shear graph is low, and the relative humidity does increase as well as ocean heat content. So it theoretically it could strengthen. It's in a favorable environment. The main problem is just the dry air, and because the relative humidity is sort of low right now as it's over land, and there was a large dry air intrusion.
Yeah. All right.
I send it.
Yep. All right. I saw it. I'm looking at this right now. Yeah, that's I see where you see the minus 20. That looks like that's not really a negative number. It's just overlaid by the I'm not sure honestly. I'm not sure if that is minus 20 or not, but regardless, The wind shear,
Yeah,
where
it means
the
that
center
That's
of...
the changing wind shear rate. So how much the wind shear has changed
Okay.
in the last 24 hours. You can see at the bottom.
Okay. Well, that makes more sense. I was going to say that probably had a case of doing that. But, yeah. But yeah, Galaxy, thanks for showing me the ships thing. And it kind of, I mean, you're right. Theoretically, this could pull something unexpected. But you would, Galaxy, you would generally agree with me that it would need to mix out all that dry air first before it does anything, right?
Yeah, if it wants to intensify in the traditional tropical way, then yes.
Yeah.
But again, if it goes the Ian route with baroclinic forcing and like almost subtropical in nature, then it would have a larger radius of maximum winds, so the pressure would already have to be lower.
Yeah. Okay. We have a couple of questions in the chat. Actually, we have one question and one comment in here. I want to read out. I am from Clearwater. We've had a lot of flooding. Saw another brewing, 30% of chance of developing. We'll get to that in just a second. But yeah, I just hope everyone there took all the precautions, turned around, didn't drown, turn around, don't drown, and all that stuff right there. Because I know Florida, especially the West Coast, got hit particularly hard from the rainfall. So I really hope these waters recede, and I really hope things continue to get better. Okay, here's the first question: if it is going over into ocean, will it continue north toward Connecticut? The rain bands definitely would.
Southern New England is definitely going to be a difficult one.
Yeah.
By the way, I have arrived.
It would go to Connecticut, the rain bands would, but the center of it will stay off the coast.
Yeah. Yeah, we'll have to see about that. Anyway, Sakura,
I will
thanks.
say something.
Sure, go ahead, Weather Kingdom.
I will say something about the Northeast, and I've been looking at it, and I know it shows a lot of rain from Debby, and I do know why it does. It's not going to be the main Debby. Why they are showing so much rain is because there's a cold front tomorrow that will go through, and that will station itself with like the I-78 corridor through Pennsylvania, and when that front stalls, it's called a boundary front. And with that boundary front, it takes some of its moisture from Debby and enhance the boundary front with some very heavy rain. We saw it with Isaias, not going to be any Isaias, but we did see it with Isaias with that huge plume of rain that surged north into Pennsylvania and New York and New Jersey, and it caused, I think, about like 6+ inches. I do not see that right now, but we're really going to have to watch it for the Northeast. And I do know some parts of Pennsylvania and New Jersey is under flash flood watches for tomorrow because they're concentrated.
And real quick, by the way, didn't we see this? Didn't we see that with Joaquin in South Carolina in 2015?
Ian?
Or at least somewhat similar thing with Hurricane Joaquin of 2015.
Oh.
Because Joaquin was kind of like looping over the Bahamas, right?
Yeah, that was more.
Something happened, and then it just sent a lot of rain into South Carolina.
All right, Galaxy, go ahead.
Absolutely
go
disastrous.
ahead. You go ahead, Galaxy.
Joaquin's flooding was more due to an atmospheric river because there was another low pressure system over the Midwest area. And so Joaquin basically formed an atmospheric river between the two, and that just formed massive, consistent rainfall as it stalled over the north or that area of the Atlantic.
The Central Bahamas.
Yeah.
And also, I was gonna say about the flood watches in the Northeast. It's called a predecessor rainfall event. So it's like before the actual event. There's already flood watches up for some coastal areas in the Northeast before Debby.
All right.
Which I think that's a pretty good call by the Weather Service.
Yeah, I agree. I absolutely agree. So yeah, and my main concern from that is, my main concern about that is if that's coming in two waves, the first round would saturate the ground, And then the second round, when it comes from Debby, would ultimately oversaturate the ground because it just rained and cause a whole runoff issue and cause a lot of flash flooding in that way. It's kind of the opposite problem that South Carolina has with all the drought that's facing right here. It has a massive amount of drought. We talked about it earlier on stream. Generally, you would think with all this rainfall, it would be a really good thing to get all this rain right here. We definitely need it. You don't need 20 inches of rainfall from this, even at this state. And I could make the argument that because this is under such an extreme drought, that amount of rainfall would actually make things worse because the ground is so dry that it's going to take time for the rainfall to mix in and for the soil to start drinking it. And in that time frame, you're going to have runoff start to develop on the edges. That's going to start running off and causing a bunch of flash flooding in that regard. So ultimately, if you need your lowest risk of flash flooding, you need a kind of a balancing act, which is why extreme droughts and then 20 plus inches of rainfall falling while this is going on is always a worst case scenario in terms of flooding. The other worst case scenario is what's going on the East Coast, where you have one rainfall event that's going to saturate the ground, and then another rainfall that's going to oversaturate it, and then cause really bad flash flooding. That's happened on many occasions before in both instances, and that's not great. Would anyone else like to comment on that?
Yeah.
We don't need 20 inches of rain in only a couple of hours, obviously.
Yeah.
We don't need it.
Right.
We don't need 20 inches of rain spread out across the entire month. Sure, that's great. That's fun. That's beneficial rainfall.
Mm-hmm.
But 20 inches of rain in 2 to 3 days. That's a little. That's really overkill.
Yeah.
All right.
Go ahead, Galaxy.
I have drought.gov pulled up with the soil moisture. So it shows the moisture content of the top 100 centimeters of soil compared to historical averages. So most of the entire East Coast, with that, say Virginia and West Virginia and some of Maine, most of that soil is already moist and saturated.
Okay.
So definitely.
That's bad.
So it's definitely it's already very moist and saturated. So rainfall, the predecessor rainfall event as well before Debby, when that happens, that'll worsen Debby's impacts even more. So if you're in the Northeast, I would say you don't need to really focus on the exact track right now. Just know that rainfall is flash flooding and rainfall is 100% the main threat, and Debby will likely be transitioning to a post-tropical cyclone by that point.
Yeah, and anyone else?
Yeah.
Go ahead.
So I'm looking at the NAM model, and it does have the cold front tomorrow. And if you look on the SPC, it does have a area of slight risk and a marginal risk. And then if you look at that, it overnight it stalls with some rain showers and thunderstorms, and even into the next day with daytime heating and stuff, you see some more thunderstorms, and that continues all the way into Debby. So if you guys are in Pennsylvania, New Jersey, and New York, more in the mid-Atlantic, expect a pretty wet week ahead with an unstable atmosphere because of the boundary.
Yeah. All right. Yeah, I pulled up the NAM as well. I'm seeing this as well. I'm going to take a look at the precip accumulation that's going to form before this, before Debby.
You can look at the NAM 3KM.
Yeah, I'm looking at the NAM regular on the COD one right here. The NAM wants generally a huge spread of about an inch or two or so, but it wants an isolated area of 4 to 5 inches of rain across parts of Pennsylvania and New Jersey. Not 100% sure if this has to do with Debby. I'm taking a look at it. It might have to do with the outer bands of Debby.
That's the predecessor.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's not good. That's not good.
I can see isolated areas of 6 inches of rain in southeastern Pennsylvania and most of New Jersey. and also
So around the Philly area, then.
Yes.
and also the middle of New York. So that area.
What about Maryland?
Maryland is
Maryland's just south of that.
Yeah, just south of that. So
Yeah, but it's supposed to get rain tomorrow too.
it's mostly
That's a lot
just
of
a
rain.
corridor from the latitude of the bottom of Michigan until the latitude of the southern border of Pennsylvania. So that's where the rainfall is mainly going to be focused, and that's where the flood watches are. So before Debby even arrives, you're already going to have an extra potential 6 inches of rain in some localized spots.
Yeah.
Somebody asked, could Charlotte see any tornado threat or wind threat? The wind threat for Charlotte is probably going to be close to zero.
I think that's Charlotte,
Because-
North Carolina, I believe.
Charlotte, North Carolina, yeah. That's
Yep.
going to be
Okay.
close to zero. And then the tornado threat, Charlotte is going to be on the western side of the system. So the tornado threat, unless you get one that forms across the north side of the system, and the system is pushing very close to that area, we'll probably not see a tornado or significant tornado threat. But the potential for flash flooding in Charlotte is still there. Will Morehead City, North Carolina get the double rainfall event? It doesn't look like it. Like trace amounts to about an inch before Debby moves in, but that's just natural variability in the model. So probably not gonna get the double rainfall event, which is good, but the North Carolina grounds are already saturated. So again, that's the main threat, is the flash flooding.
Yep, absolutely. Okay, what else is going on?
I have a question.
Yes.
Sure.
So what do y'all see for Maryland?
Maryland's going to be just south of that big rain event. I can take a quick look at some of the models for you to kind of get a grasp of this. Let's see. The NAM wants Maryland to generally get about, I'd say, an inch of rain or so.
That's not
from
good
this.
because I'm
What?
in this spot for
Yeah.
the heaviest rain.
Yeah, that's
I'll
pretty
keep
bad.
you guys updated. Matt.
Yeah, that's pretty bad. You've been kind of helping us cover, so you kind of know to turn around and don't drown by this point. We've been saying it all
Yeah.
the whole time. Yeah, but yeah, looks like Maryland could get 1 to 2 inches of rain from this, and I can show you what I can pull up what the NHC wants. Actually, no,
So Just Cider is asking: is Jacksonville, Florida, out of the worst for now?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Generally,
possibly
Florida
some
is
trailing
out.
rain bands, but it's mostly
Hold on,
out-
1 to 5. Oh,
Okay,
sorry.
Galaxy, go ahead.
mostly
Sorry,
out of-
yeah.
They might have a few trailing rain bands with some potential for a spin-up tornado or two, but it's mostly over. There's going to be some gusty winds as it sits right offshore. Also, I'm going to have to go, so I'll see you guys later.
All right, catch you later, Galaxy.
Corn's getting off the coast quick.
Yeah, it definitely is starting to. We'll have to pay very close attention to that, though. Looks like Jacksonville is going to see some trailing stuff, but overall not as bad as I think a lot of people are anticipating. Regardless of that, though, let's see. Let's ask. Could Morehead City, North Carolina, get that double rainfall event? No, that's mainly in Pennsylvania and New Jersey.
Yeah.
I live in. Okay. Okay. I'm taking a look at that.
That does worry me.
Yeah.
That the National Hurricane Center has 6 to 8 inches
Yeah.
in eastern Pennsylvania and New Jersey and New York. And that's not even adding the. I don't think it's adding tomorrow's event.
Yep. Yeah. That's for sure. Do you?
So
see,
add that all
go ahead.
up.
Yeah. Do you see the track shifting from west from North Carolina on? I see the spaghetti mile showing more through New Jersey, while the NHC sees it out on the New Jersey coast. There's so much uncertainty regarding that. It's kind of hard to tell, and the fact that the NHC has a consensus of how this thing's going to happen in the next couple of days. Is nothing short of a miracle, to be honest, because of how uncertain the steering currents are and how volatile they've been. So that's kind of a question it's hard for me to answer. So yeah.
It's not for you.
Yeah. Palm Tree, by the way, I saw what you sent in VC No Mike. You might want to pay attention to that. So yeah.
Check VC No Mike just to make sure I know what's going on.
What's up, Sakura?
I'm gonna check VC No Mike just to make sure I'm.
Yeah, that's fine. All right. Is there anything else we want to talk about with Debby very quickly before we move back out to the deep tropics?
No.
Not really.
All right.
I think we covered a lot of
I
it.
think we covered a lot of it.
Yeah, we did, Sonny. We did Weather Kingdom. All right, Weather Kingdom. Since you're here now, I want your take on what's going on in the deep tropics, because we have a tropical wave that has a 30% probability of development in the Caribbean, and we have another tropical wave near the Cabo Verde Islands, and we have one wave behind that does look like it could develop according to some climatology models. So, what is your overall take on these?
For the furthest one out, I know I should be going in order, but the furthest one out, I've been tracking a lot and seeing other people's opinion on. With that third wave, I do expect it to it could form. The environment looks pretty good, but if it does, and like the Euro has it, it looks like we will have a fish storm. At least one of these storms, probably going to be the third one, will become a fish storm. It looks like it could get close to Puerto Rico and the islands, but then turns out we did see that in 2023. Why does that show that with that one wave? It's because you see the high pressure breaking a bit for a bit of time, and you see cold fronts. So that third one will if it does form, it will probably be a fish storm, but do not take that for certain. Take that for a grain of salt. That's just what we're seeing right now. The wave that's in the Western Antilles area, it's very tough because I haven't really looked at the ensembles for that.
Sure.
So if you can you bring up the ensembles?
Yeah, the GFS, the European GFS and Canadian are Galaxy Bender put them in VC No Mike earlier during the stream. So actually, no, it wasn't VC No Mike. It was Tropical WX discussion.
What a fish storm is. A fish storm is basically a storm that stays at the sea, doesn't affect any land.
Yep.
That's what we want. What we don't want is storms affecting land.
Of course.
Now, we don't know. We don't know if it's a storm that's going to affect land or not. But we want it to be a fish. We just want it to stay at sea.
Sure.
Interesting. The wave near just south of Puerto Rico area. I mean, I think it has a low probability, but we're just gonna have to monitor it. I just don't think it's if it does not live to the north and it just struggles, I just think it's just going to be any original wave. It does have a slim probability, but my eyes are actually more out in the MDR. And for this time of year in August, we do expect activity to pick up. And where we are actually right now is pretty shocking to a lot of us. I think we all expected a bit more activity, but with July being just quiet, I think that will make it up in October and September and later August. So it might seem like the Atlantic is a bust right now, but it's really not, because we already had 2 hurricanes made landfall, one in Texas, one in Florida, Beryl and Debby. So that's So that's already a concern. We already seen that. Debby being the major flooding issue, and Beryl breaking just normal climatology, I feel.
Yeah. Well, let's see. How many records did Beryl break? Or at least Cat 5 on record.
Yeah.
Or at least Cat 4 on record.
Strongest tropical cyclone to ever hit Grenada, 140 miles an hour.
Most tornadoes in certain county. I know I saw that.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
Let's see. One of the earliest
Asties.
What's
one of the earliest majors in record too, by the way.
Yeah, it was the
One of the fastest. Oh, sorry. One
yeah,
of the
go ahead.
one of the fastest intensifying storms in June.
It
one
was
of
the
the
That is
fastest
true.
intensifying storm in June.
Yep.
Yeah, that was
Barrel just-
unbelievable.
Yeah, Barrel
Barrel
just
was-
was one of those storms
Hey.
that. Yeah.
Will never happen again for a long time.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't see it happening anytime
On top
soon. I
of
think
that, the
Barrel is a
entirety of the
once.
tropics have been insane this year. Not just the
Yeah.
EPAC's kind of been on fire. Westpac, well,
Hey,
game
guys,
happened.
just look at the West Coast.
What's going on there?
There's like four tropical systems in the West Coast
Yeah,
now.
in the EPAC,
The
we've been paying
EPAC,
attention to
yeah.
it.
Yeah, Carlotta, Daniel, Amelia, and Fabio. Amelia and Fabio, they're kind of short-lived. They're
Yeah.
kind of tropical storms right now.
Yeah.
Carlotta and Daniel are fizzling out.
Yeah. That's what that's what the MJO does, folks.
While we're in the Pacific, I might as well go ahead and say this. There is actually an orange invest in the Westpac hinting south of Japan, and that might be something we might need to watch.
All right.
Because that might become a problem for the Philippines or China if that, Philippines, China, Korea, or Japan,
Can I say
in
something?
the coming days.
Yeah.
Then there's also
let's-
91
go ahead,
W
Sakura,
just
sorry.
east of that. Yeah, and then we have 91W just east of that one. That's actually a couple hundred miles off the northwest off the northeast coast of Taiwan. Probably going to hit China soon. North Indian's been quiet apart from Cyclone Ramal. Cyclone Ramal was, oh god, Cyclone Ramal was something else.
Is there any updates about Vietnam since my grandmother lives there?
Where?
Vietnam.
Oh, with the Westpac.
Yeah.
So far, there's nothing hit. So far, I don't think anything has hit Vietnam.
All right.
I'm gonna have to check the typhoon.
We'll have to
season
pay
this
attention
week.
to the Joint Typhoon Warning Center in regards to that. But Weather Kingdom, did you want to say anything?
Yeah, I know this is a little bit off topic, but we do have a damaging confirmed tornado in Iowa.
Yeah.
Right now going over Wonkin.
Oh yeah,
County.
I think Max Frosty's and Honesty are about that.
Yeah, I saw it. Yeah, I'm looking at that's near Wisconsin.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
some bad news. So
Yeah, they need to take shelter immediately.
There is a debris ball with it, so if
Yep.
you guys are any in the path of that tornado warning, please
Seek
go to the
shelter
lowest
immediately.
part of your. Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
You
Yeah.
said it for me.
Yeah, we're gonna be
But-
keeping tabs on that. If any updates in regards to it, where if it's about to hit, start to come up, we will let you know immediately. We're gonna keep tabs on it behind the scenes. But yeah, thank you for bringing that up. I was watching it as well.
Yeah, no problem.
Yeah, but in the meantime, though, is there anything else you guys would like to cover in terms of Debby, in terms of the tropical waves, like kind of what else?
Yeah.
Actually, yes.
What's up? Go. Who wants to go first?
I'll let Weather Kingdom go first.
All right.
Okay. Looks like in the last few frames of the radar, it looks like it might be soon doing another eastern jog. If that does, it will most likely go out in the water a little bit quicker, and it could go over Brunswick,
Yeah.
Georgia, and that's a lot more south than expected.
Wait,
That's
it
not
is.
good.
It is absolutely doing an Eastern
Yeah,
jog.
it
I can
is.
tell.
Oh, it's
It
I mean,
starting.
looks like
Yep,
It's the last couple of frames, but still,
it's doing it again. That ain't good.
Yep.
it's like just about to hit water. Just about.
it is. Actually, I'll tell you how far it is in just a moment.
All right,
It's
I'm
got to be
taking a
like,
look.
I don't know, 20 miles, maybe less.
I'm looking at
I was-
I'm looking at the core of it, which is greatly expanded. Yeah, it's definitely starting to head towards water once again. Let me go ahead and give an idea. Let's say if it moves generally east northeast, it's about, at least the center of it's about 60 miles off, still inland. But I will say, at least at least the big bands of it are about to move offshore. So that's going to be interesting to watch and interesting to pay attention to, because it's going to be kind of interesting to determine how quickly this thing gets offshore and does the things it does. But go ahead and continue, guys.
Basically, go. You're good.
I'll let you continue. Sorry, my bad.
No, you're good. Tomorrow when this does enter the water, I will say, oh wait, is that the center? I thought the center was more south.
Right. Yeah, it's kind of difficult to tell on radar scope. I'm using the Jacksonville radar to detect it. I can use the one closer to that.
I'll look at Zoom Earth because
I use radar scope, so that and the COD radar. I can just, what I can do is I can send you the link to the COD radar and I can put it in VC Mic for you. So
while you're doing that, by the way, I know one of you here actually did ask about Vietnam.
Yeah.
Tropics from Praparoon actually did make landfall early last month. It was actually the first tropical cyclone to hit mainly Vietnam in almost 2 years.
That's interesting right there.
Yeah.
It's not just the Atlantic we're watching. We're watching weather around the world, folks.
Yep. So far, now, as of now, and this info may change, Praparoon has killed 23 people with $18 million worth of damage. And Praparoon was a 70-mile-an-hour tropical storm. Before that, you also had Tropical Depression 3W, which made landfall in central Vietnam. Now, reminder, Praparoon is actually the first named storm to make landfall in Vietnam.
Yeah.
And from what the wiki here says, 640 days.
Yep.
Which is a lot.
Yeah. All right. Thank you.
I have a question.
Go ahead.
To secure.
Yes.
Is there a way? How are you able to watch storms all around the world on radar and not just the USA?
Here's
radar. There you go.
Yeah, I know Kadena Air Force Base has a radar, and I know Korea has radars too.
Yeah.
In terms of storms in the Philippines, Taiwan, and China, they actually have their own radar systems, but I don't use them.
Yeah.
So I just use either Zoom Earth, Joint Typhoon Warning Center, or in the case of India, the IMD, the Indian Meteorological Department.
Yep. Yeah, that's what we use here as well. Okay. Anything else? All right. Anything else you would? Anything else we want to talk about?
Oh, not really.
All right.
I did send something in VC.
Okay.
If you saw
I saw it. I took a quick look at it.
All right.
It was kind of hard to make out what it was. Could you explain what you were trying to show me?
Do you have it
yes,
right
I do.
now? Or
yep,
no?
I do.
If you can put that on.
I got it.
If you look at the wind barbs, if you zoom in,
yep,
you can tell where the circulation is. Like I said, it's definitely more south of the track of the National Hurricane Center. You can see the spin on the southern side and then the northern side.
Yeah. The question I have is this cone does not appear to have been updated as of recent. So, just
maybe not.
Yeah. So,
I don't think it has.
Yeah, it hasn't been. I took a look at it earlier. I was a little perplexed by that. So thanks for explaining that. But the cone I have right here. That looks like an old cone. It was a new one was issued about less than an hour ago. So, okay.
I was gonna say, has there been a new cone?
Yes, there has been. All right. Anything else in that regard?
It is moving 7 miles an hour. It actually picked up speed.
Yeah, it picked up a little bit of speed.
Oh.
Yeah.
So that will help it going along the water quicker.
Slight bit of speed, but is that really going to do much?
Yeah. Yeah, okay. Freckles83 says, I was so scared last night. You guys were the only ones to answer my questions. Thank you for that. And we appreciate you for tuning into the Pat's Path Predictor stream as well as listening to our coverage, because we like answering questions like them. We like getting people engaged with weather in those terms. So we really appreciate you tuning in and asking those, because we like to do that here. So... yeah, I just figured I just wanted to say thank you for that, and I'm glad we were able to answer that.
Hey, make sure you like the stream, everybody.
Yep, like the stream and subscribe to the channel for
Make
sure.
sure you like the stream.
Yeah.
Like the stream, sub to the channel, and get Pat to 10,000 subs.
and,
We're rapidly closing in on that shit.
Yep, we're getting close.
I
We're
will
at
say,
almost 9,700, which is pretty insane.
Wow.
What's up?
Thank you guys. I will say thank you guys. I did hit 80 subscribers, so I appreciate that. We are 20 away from 100.
Yep.
So thank you for that.
Yeah, Weather
So
Kingdom's.
I appreciate that.
Yeah, don't worry, guys. Weather Kingdom's going to be here for the rest of the season, so you'll see plenty of him
Yep.
here.
Yeah.
So.
And if we do get some nice severe thunderstorms tomorrow, I will have that posted on my channel and make a little short.
All right.
So if you guys want to check that out
Yeah.
tomorrow,
Yeah.
let me know.
My channel is almost
It's a well. I do have a Twitch account, which I'm
Yep.
putting on streaming in a couple of days.
Yeah, that's for sure. Yeah, Oh, what's up, Palm Tree?
I actually made my own YouTube channel, but I only have a mobile device, so
All right.
I'm gonna get my PC hopefully.
Oh, that'll be good.
soon.
Yeah, that'll be good.
Well, that
Well, yeah.
you can still do YouTube on your phone. Just that it takes time to build up your channel.
Yeah.
How are you able to make it so you can do online weather breakdowns too? I don't like.
Well, I'll talk to you about that after the stream. How does that sound?
All right.
All right.
Good.
I have a mobile device, so I'll probably be able to.
Yeah. Sakura and I can help you out with that after we're done here. So.
All right. Thanks.
All right. Okay.
And also, speaking of YouTube channels, by the way, just one more shameless plug. I also have a YouTube channel.
Everyone here has a
here-
YouTube channel. Everyone here
Yeah.
does.
Yeah, I do too.
Everybody here.
Yeah, which is
If
pretty
you want
crazy.
to.
Yeah, of course.
Oh, I'm already stuck to Sakura. Hold on. Let me see if I can.
Yay!
All right. Okay.
Yay!
All right. In terms of
Anyway,
Okay.
move on then.
all right. In terms of tropics, guys, was there anything else that we haven't covered that you want to talk about, or do we want to wrap up for tonight?
I think we're good here.
I think we're good.
Yeah. So
Yeah, we're good.
Weather
Just
King-
stay where we're guys. And,
Yep. Absolutely. Weather Kingdom. What are your
My final thoughts is keep track, and tomorrow when this does go over the waters, we just need to watch how this all evolves.
mm-hmm.
And right now it's at a 45. Probably could it stay as a 45 until it hits water? It is a possibility, and the National Hurricane Center does have 40.
Yeah.
It depends because it could actually go back out in the water a little bit quicker.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah.
it could actually start out at a 45, and that could be bumped up if that does happen to a 65 in
Yeah.
tomorrow's cone and landfall. So just keep that in mind.
Absolutely.
But
Things are
I think
rain
subject to
doesn't matter.
change.
Rain does.
70, maybe 70. Who knows?
That's a bit of a stretch, but it's possible. All right. Anybody else?
Hey, I just joined. It's Wubsy. I changed my username though.
All right. We're about to end the we're about to end the stream
Someone
tonight.
asked what's
but-
Weather Kingdom.
Oh, Weather Kingdoms is his YouTube
yes,
channel.
someone asked
Let me
in
go
the
ahead and
chat.
pull that up for you guys before we end it tonight, so you can go sub to him. He's been making some good content. He's been helping us out here with the stream. Let me go ahead and drop that in.
Hey, Cheesy, what's your channel called? I can't find it.
What?
I'm talking about Cheesy Weather. I can't
Oh.
find his channel.
Yeah, well-
I'll drop it either after the stream.
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay.
All right.
Thanks.
All right, we'll go ahead and, if it's okay with you guys, we'll go ahead and end it, and we can talk a little bit behind the scenes. All right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Well, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to go ahead and end the stream tonight. I think we covered everything a little bit earlier than I was initially hoping for. So now that everything's kind of on the table, now you know what's going on, I feel comfortable kind of closing it out right here. So be sure to leave a like and subscribe to the channel if you are new. We are getting very close to 10,000 subscribers, so I really appreciate everything you guys have given me over the last few days, and I could not be more grateful. Also, be sure to check out some of the friends that are in the description, as well as if you would like to support the channel more. If you'd like to support the channel directly, I have a Patreon. It's the first link in the description of the stream, as well as all my videos. So go ahead and check that out if you feel interested. But with that being said, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for everything tonight, and have a wonderful evening.